So I like talking about crisis communications first. The case study I'd like to share actually is not from my agency. It's from a crisis agency we have in the UK called Polpeo, and it's run by an associate of mine. And they use AI to simulate and rehearse realistic fictional social media crises. So they would create an immersive role play situation that is designed to train their teams on how to handle the real life experience of managing a business crisis on social media. So they set up a particular scenario that is relevant to the client's business. So for example, it might be a food product that has led to a poisoning situation, or a clothing brand that has been accused of using child labor, for example. And their simulation software mimics the social media channels, microblogs, social networks, video networks, blogs, and forums. And they combine this with human social media community managers that play the role of the general public, responding to everything the team is doing to manage the unfolding crisis. So you have a situation where the crisis begins and the client team starts to respond to social media posts that have been made by community managers pretending to be the general public. The client team responds to this, and as the people pretending to be the public respond, the AI software throws up further learned responses and it amplifies them. So what you have is this great combination of real people responding, AI-led platforms amplifying it, and the client responding to it in real time, making mistakes and learning from the mistakes, so that in a real live situation, they will hopefully be fully combat ready, to use the phrase that you used. You asked about the use of AI in PR generally, and whether we need to possess it and use it in our daily lives. Do I think we need to use AI? Yes, I do, but it's not as straightforward as that, in my opinion. There are many positives with AI, but they come with caution. And as PRs and communicators, we are the ones that are well placed to advise and implement best practice. In terms of the positives, there are simple back office uses of AI, like media monitoring, research tasks, wire services, analysis, social listening. All of this makes us more efficient, allowing us to focus on tasks that machines can't do, like strategy, like focus, creativity, client relationships, ethics, the nuance of messaging. There's also the creative uses of AI in campaigns to increase engagement, and I'll come on to an example of that shortly. Or, of course, AI can be combined with big data for mass communication. But there is a real note of caution. And for me, this note of caution around artificial intelligence is about trust and about authenticity. And this is where we fit in as communicators. So let me explain. 2020 has made us less trusting than ever. COVID-19 and what our governments are telling us about it, the US election and allegations of voter fraud, the release of the docu-film, The Social Dilemma, about the deliberately addictive algorithms of the social networks. In the UK, there's been an increase this year in online fraud and scams, and I'm sure that's happening around the world. We distrust the news, we distrust politicians, we distrust brands, we distrust social media. We are even starting to distrust scientists. We question what's real and what's fake. So in my opinion, because of all that, what we need more now than ever is honesty and authenticity in order to build up trust between brands and customers. So when it comes to digital tools like AI, chatbots, virtual assistants, it's all about transparency. The key question is, does the customer know that AI is being used? Have they given permission? AI and NLG, natural language generation, when combined with virtual assistants, is getting so good, it's going to be hard to tell the difference between humans and machines. We as consumers don't want the wool pulled over our eyes. We don't want brands to pretend humans are answering them when actually it's a machine. And this is especially true if we've got a problem or a question or we want to complain. In the old days, if you had a question or a problem, you might call a telephone or call center. Today, if we've got questions or a problem, we go to Twitter, to Facebook, to live chat, to company websites. And if we're doing this, we want to be taken seriously, to be understood, and to be shown empathy. We need judgment to be used. We need ethics and morals to be implemented. The logical answer isn't always the right one, and we need our responses to incorporate that. So for this, we need humans. And if we don't get this, we begin to lose our love and our trust for the brand, and we go elsewhere. So whereas call centers may not be part of the PR remit, community management is. And as PR professionals, we need to be the beacons of honesty and honest and authentic communication, where ethics, morals, empathy are incorporated, so that brands don't lose the love and trust of the customers that they have spent millions of dollars, pounds, rubles, euros, yen trying to build. So in my opinion, we have a very, very big role to play in guiding brands of when and when not to use AI, when the human touch is needed and when it isn't. Our job as PR pros, as communicators, is to ensure that it's used with integrity and with openness, and of course, without harm. So is it impossible for brands to build trust and love with AI? No, it isn't, but it's got to be done with permission. And it's also got to be done to add to the customer experience and not to detract from it. And I've got a really nice example of this that I'd like to share with you. And this is a case study that comes from an English Premier League football club called Bournemouth. And Bournemouth ran a project to increase fan engagement. And the club worked with its partner agency, a UK agency called Greenwood Campbell, and they used AI to analyze the different emotions in people's faces during a football match. So the way it worked was that fans took selfies of themselves on their smartphones during a match, and then they uploaded them to a chatbot on Microsoft's Azure platform when the match was in progress. What they then did was they used Microsoft's Emotion API, the application program interface, which was an AI algorithm to scan the photographs, the photos for emotion. The first thing it did was it scanned for inappropriate content, and there was a lot of that, so they got rid of that. But then what it did is it identified the emotions that fans go through at football matches: anger, contempt, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, surprise. They did all of this, and then a chatbot reacted to the fans' emotions accordingly, and it sent pre-programmed messages and ratings of their emotions, and it sent it back to them. And what you found was that each image uploaded by a fan resulted in the fan sending at least 7 messages to at least 17 other people about it, spreading the fun and sort of spreading the engagement. And for me, I think the great thing about this was that the aim of this project wasn't to sell anything. It was purely to increase engagement with fans and to enhance their match day experience. And it worked. And it worked because it was creative, and it worked because it was done with permission. So just to finish, just in summary, I believe we do need to use AI, and digital tools will make our lives simpler, but the future challenge to brand owners and to communicators like us is knowing when to employ them and being able to be open to customers about their use. We are already very cynical about brands. You only have to look at the AI-driven ads that Facebook and Instagram serve you every minute of every day, and your cynicism increases. So only honesty and authenticity will break through this cynicism. And as communicators, it's in our power to lead the charge on this.